Pop, what's going on, man?
Son, how you doing?
Doing good. Pop's on the lam again. Caught us
On the
live in the.
lamb.
Did they catch you? It looks like you're in the interrogation room, Pop. Where were
Yeah,
you on
I don't
April
want to say.
28th?
I don't want to say.
Oh man, they call it Pop. They call it Pop.
I'm
Anyways,
waiting on my lawyer.
getting back to it. That's right. That's all you tell him. You said lawyer. Anyways, getting back to it here. It's pretty tame, pretty classic late May podcast here. Happy Memorial Day weekend to all those who celebrate. Tom and Pop getting after it as usual. Pop, where are the vibes at? How you feeling, man?
Vibes are good. I'm actually at the beach on the lamb, a little oceanfront place. We're having fun, so feeling good. Could be a little warmer, but that's how you can't complain.
I was just about to say nothing to complain about there, and then you complained, so it's perfect.
That's what you got to do. You got to complain about something, then you got to say can't complain.
Yeah, can't complain.
That's
Not
how
bad.
you work it out.
That's what it's all about, man. That's what it's all about. So, getting into it today, we're going to do Commanders news and 5 reasons Jayden Daniels will have an even better 2025 season. We ain't talking no sophomore slump on this podcast like everybody else wants to talk about. Sorry, NFL. Hate to break it to you. The next elite quarterback has arrived, and anybody without their head a mile and a half up the culo can see that.
You got to
Sorry.
build up the pot a little bit better than just saying slow time, whatever. We got a spicy topic to talk about. Like, comment, subscribe. Many of you don't subscribe. Come on, help brother out.
There you go. There you go. So before we get into our 5 reasons JD is going to shine in 2025, goodness, 2025 already. We're going to talk just a quick update on some news stuff. So HBO and the NFL announced on Wednesday that the NFC East is going to be the focus of this year's in-season Hard Knocks, which will debut in December. Now, I'll be honest, I think last year was the AFC North, right? I didn't watch it last year.
Yeah, I haven't watched Hard Knocks in a while.
I watched the
Just the
preseason.
clips of the Giants.
Yeah, I didn't watch the Giants one. I watched the Jets one. I had like a long flight and I just pinged through the whole thing, and it was good. It was entertaining when Rodgers went to the Jets. We all know how that ended. So hopefully, better ending for the NFC East than that on this year's episode. But what do you think, Pop? How do you feel about this the in season Hard Knocks coming out?
Well, when I first saw it, I wasn't super happy. I'm like, oh, they're going to be there in training camp. It's going to be this big distraction. There's already so much hype surrounding Jayden Daniels and everyone. But seeing that it's actually the whole NFC East and it doesn't come out until December, well into the season, I'm less concerned about it. And I guess we just got to embrace these things, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure that, the fact that the Eagles, Super Bowl champs, are in the division and Jayden Daniels is there, and of course, Cowboys and Giants, there's always a lot of stuff going on with those two teams. So I guess we just got to embrace the hype. And given that it's spread across the 4 teams, I feel a little bit better about it.
Definitely. And you know what? I mean, bottom line is Commanders fans, we can't have it both ways, right? You want to be a top of the line NFL franchise. Well, guess what? The NFL has been waiting for 30 years to put this team back front and center. And it's happening. And here we are.
Yeah.
When you win 12 games, well, 14 games, you make it all the way to the NFC Championship. This is the kind of stuff that starts to happen. And if you want to be a premier franchise with an elite quarterback, the things we've dreamed of, these are the types of things that start to get highlighted. I tell you what, I'd much rather be on this version of Hard Knocks than the your team stinks and can they turn it around version of Hard Knocks that the Giants were on last year and
Definitely.
the Jets were on the year prior. And frankly, we were so bad and irrelevant, they wouldn't even put us on that version previous to that. So I think it's going to be fun, man. I can't complain. It'll of course be more fun if we're looking at, this team being great and then we get to just relive the season. I mean, imagine how fun that would have been last year if you got to relive that season with some Hard Knocks. That would have been unbelievable. So
yeah,
hopefully
no question.
a similar season with a few less heart attacks. The cardiac commanders, maybe we can put that to rest this year with some of the improvements we've made, which we'll highlight. But I think it's going to be awesome, man. I'm excited about it. I think it's about time. I'm so sick of going places with my Washington Commanders head covers on my golf clubs or in a Commanders shirt or in a Commanders hat and people saying, who's that? Or what team is that again? And finally last year, that was put to rest. I'm not living in DC right now. I'm living in LA. And last year, all of a sudden, I see Jayden Daniels jerseys on the street walking to go get coffee. So this is just one more thing further. I found out my home golf course is a Commander's bar now. These are things that never would have happened. So I'm grateful for all of it. I'm grateful for the spotlight. I'm grateful I don't have to clarify what team I root for when people see me, and instead they tell me how great my quarterback is, and how lucky we are. And so I'm all over it. Speaking of great guys, speaking of things we're all over, Terry McLaurin looks like that extension is knocking on the door. He sat out off-season workouts. Just one. He's been in every single one. He missed one
Right.
day, and it became a big report. It could have been
Many reasons.
cousin's graduation. Somebody could have passed away. Like, there's a million different things that could have happened. It's a 0 out of 10 story, in my opinion, but this contract could be coming. And so it's time to talk Terry McLaurin extension. It's a good excuse to talk about it. I think it's very simple for me. You pay the man whatever he wants, right, Pop?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about whatever he wants. There's always got to be a little bit of a limit there, but yeah, I mean, I'm sure they're going to get it done. Um, to be honest, if he sat out, protect himself from injury, can't really blame that. That's pretty standard,
Yeah.
in these contract situations. Not hearing anything. All we heard was the report that he sat out one practice. So, like you said, how big of a deal it is or not, we don't know. They got to lock him up. It sounds like he's in for a lot of money. I was kind of shocked by some of the numbers here. It's amazing how the market just keeps going
Yeah.
up and up and up and up. If you want to read those off, this would have been quarterback money not very long ago, and now it's wide receiver money. Pretty crazy, but I agree. You lock him up. One of my all-time favorite Washington football team players. In my top 5, easy, maybe my top 3. Just love the guy as a person and think he's still underrated as a receiver.
Agreed. Literally the best deep ball receiver in the NFL last year, per the numbers. One of the highest quarterback ratings in the NFL when he was targeted last year. I think maybe the highest, like 130 something.
Yeah, great contested catch guy. I mean, what's not to like?
Animal. And just the bottom line is with Terry, the reason you pay Terry, I've said it a million times, I'll say it again. The reason you pay Terry whatever he wants is you set an example for the rest of the franchise. For a guy like Jalen Lane, when he's coming into the team, mid round guy, you tell him, hey, that's where you can go. You put in the work. This is what we do. This is how we take care of our players. This is how we do things around here. We're going to pay you. We're going to pay you market value. We're going to pay you what you're worth. We're going to take care of you. We're not going to make it a hard thing. You just have to keep up your end. So for a guy like McLaurin, who's done everything right, I mean, amazing leader in the locker room. You saw the way he spoke a little bit about it, the way Bobby Wagner kind of helped him find his leadership style. You saw that blossom over the course of last year, just becoming like going from the young guy that works hard and does everything right to one of the top 3 most important presences in the locker room. I'd say probably top 2, maybe the most important presence in the locker room. Um, by the time he's here now, and it's time for him to get that extension, man. You're looking at like 93.2 million according to Sport Rack's market value tool, with an AAV of 31.1 million. Now, these receiver contracts are usually 2-year deals that get dressed up to be 3-year deals with like an extra option at the end of the 3rd year. And I think he'd be like 32 or 33 by the time he got to the end of the deal. So it kind
Well,
of
if they
sets you
add
up.
3 years, I mean, he's turning 30 this season.
Yeah. So it'll be 33 by the end of the deal if it's a 3-year deal. So you figure by the time he's 31, 32, they're talking about another another extension, or if you just want to add a year, or sure,
Well, I
he's
think the
gonna
way,
retire, but we'll see how it
but
plays out.
the way Terry, is in terms of he seems like a really clean living guy and takes care of his body and knock on wood, hasn't been gone through any really bad injuries or anything. So I think he's got at least three to 4 really good years ahead of him. And I think what was impressive, when you talk about Terry, And I was thinking about this when you were talking about Jalen Lane, saying, well, if you come here, we can make you into that. I mean, Terry became who he was through coaching changes,
Yeah.
through chaos, through how many different quarterbacks that were
Ownership
none
changes,
of were any good,
scandals.
really. And yet what was impressive is that he was already an elite player coming into this season or last season, 2024, and he got better. He got better. One of the things one example, I'm sure there's others, is that he was kind of getting caught from behind and getting tackled. And then towards the end of the season, he said, I focused on that. I focused on finishing plays. And you saw him finish plays, right? You saw him take it to the end zone rather than getting stopped inside the 10. So it's just impressive how he continues to get better, continues to improve. And yeah, I hope that they do right by him. I'm sure they will.
Yeah, I mean, he's pop. Fun fact: who was the first quarterback Terry McLaurin caught a touchdown pass from? Do you remember?
Whoa. It would be Jay Gruden era. Case Keenum.
There it is. Yes, there it is. And how many quarterbacks?
That's how you debate.
How many quarterbacks has he caught an NFL pass from? Would you say?
Uh, 11.
12.
Wow. Was
Case
close.
Keenum, Dwayne Haskins, Colt McCoy, Alex Smith, Kyle Allen, Taylor Heineke, Garrett Gilbert, Ryan Fitzpatrick, Carson Wentz, Sam Howell, Jacoby Brissett, and now Jayden Daniels. And actually, it's 13 because Marcus Mariota is on that list too.
Wow.
So, holy crap.
Crazy.
So yeah,
Wild.
to Pop's point, it's one thing when you come to a premier organization like we're turning into, and you could develop that third round pick, but to do it, you know, in coaching change after your first year, and then the Rivera thing, which was a disaster, and then all the scandals and the team selling and all that, it's incredible. So yeah, he deserves the world. He deserves a statue. He deserves put him in the Ring of Honor already. We'll be making a Hall of Fame case for him hopefully by the end of his career. He's just an absolute. You know who he is, in my opinion? He's kind of like our Mike Evans. Like he's just an absolute. It's a program
Good
guy. He's just a
comparison.
stud year in year out. You expect him to produce. You love having him here. Commander for life, hopefully. And yeah, Adam Peters, who gives you nothing at any press conference ever, already said we're planning on making Terry a commander for a very long time. So I don't think there's anything to debate or worry about here. I think it's just dollars and cents at this point and crossing their T's and dotting their I's. Let's move on. What do you say, Pop?
Yeah, I just can't wait to get to this next topic.
So, Pop's favorite 5 reasons Jayden Daniels will have an even better 2025 than 2024. Now, a lot of people want to talk sophomore slump. A lot of people want to talk one score games. A lot of people want to talk fluky wins. Let me say it very clearly. Ain't nothing fluky about a guy driving his team down the field and scoring a touchdown in the last 2 minutes. That's what
No.
made Tom Brady great. That's what makes Mahomes great. That's what's made all the greats in every sport ever great is the fact that they can repeatedly show up in the clutch game after game after game. Ain't nothing fluky about that. You want to say the Hail Mary was fluky? Fine. Nothing fluky about the rest of it. Anyways, something fluky about a missed extra point that would have been our win against Dallas. But anyways, keep it
Well, I
moving.
mean, yeah, I mean, even the Hail Mary, of course, there's luck involved. There's no question about it. Nobody's arguing that. But the play he made was incredible.
Yeah,
I mean, he had half of rib cage that he was working with in pain, extends the play
yeah,
like crazy, and then chucks it 65 yards down the field. I
and
mean,
delivered 2 seeds on the previous plays to get you in
right.
positions that you had to be in order to score.
No.
Anyways, it doesn't really matter.
I
Five
suppose
reasons.
I suppose kicking Detroit's ass in the playoffs was luck too, right?
Yeah, hanging 45 on him and throwing for 299 yards.
Yeah.
Anyways, 5 reasons Jayden Daniels will have an even better 2025 season than 2024. First reason, I love this one, Pop, is the continuity, right? It's your second year with Cliff Kingsbury and your staff. You've got your quarterback coach, Davita Pritchard, and David Blau. Everybody's back. Everybody's back. Brian Johnson, Anthony Lynn, the entire offensive staff is back.
It's huge.
It's massive, especially when you consider what he was able to do just with one offseason and with the amount of work he puts in, and you watch the progression. Look at Jayden in Tampa week one versus Jayden in Tampa at the end of the season with half of an offensive line and, running for his life, what he was able to do because of the amount of study he puts in, the amount of work he puts in. Cliff has that same reputation, first guy to the facility every day. And it's just a match made in heaven, the two of them, and they'll continue to develop on that and build on that. And you can start to look at, let's call a spade a spade. The offense didn't stall out very much last year. This was an explosive, elite offense. And you can start to look at the spots where, okay, where did the offense stall out? Where did things become a bit predictable? How can we take what we did and make it even harder to understand or defend? So I think it's amazing, and I think you've also got in Tavita Pritchard and David Blau, you've got 1A and 1B in terms of the continuity plan should Cliff want to go and be a head coach next year.
Yeah, it's huge, right? I mean, second year, there could be a second year slump, but very often with rookies, there's a second year jump, not a slump. That rhymes. And I think that you look at it and you look at Jayden, you think back to Jayden at the beginning of the year, you could see the talent. And you could see for a rookie that he was, very far advanced, but he was still a rookie. You could see some things where it wasn't all clicking and it wasn't all gelling. And Cliff had to come back into the NFL and kind of figure it all out again. And these are two guys that nobody outworks. They fight each other for who's first in the building. They're probably making each other coffee early in the morning, right at 4 a.m. So, yeah, continuity is great. And it's so I think what you went from was a obviously very talented rookie QB to arguably a top 5 QB in the NFL by the end of the year. So our starting point this year is a guy that's got that continuity coming back, not only with the coaches, right? His play caller's the same, but also with his teammates. Terry, if you remember, Terry and Jayden weren't clicking that much early in the season. We weren't sure how that was going to work out. All of a sudden, I think they're going to hit the ground running again, starting the second season. I love what Jayden said, and I'm sure it's what him and Cliff are focused on, they asked him, what do you think you need to work on? And he said, well, I want to look at where are my tendencies? What are teams keying on against me? And making sure that I'm aware of that and that I can address that, change some things up. That's huge.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, it's a giant step in terms of just kind of understanding, like, okay, like when teams, and again, not many teams did, but when teams were able to have success against me, what were they seeing? How were they keying in on certain tendencies, certain things that I was doing? One thing that I kind of have in mind is like that they had that one particular play in short yardage where they'd fake the handoff to Brian Robinson going to the left, and then everybody would pull to the right, and then Jayden would get 3-4 yards almost every time. It's almost like the tush push, except it requires athleticism. And it's not a rugby play. And we were automatic with it, and it was amazing in short yardage. However, because it's a football play, you give the entire NFL an entire offseason to figure out just how often we ran that and just how effective it was. I think we'll still be pretty good at running that play, but I think the effectiveness will drop a bit. So being able to say, okay, that's what made, Joe Gibbs so great, was the ability to counter and his speed at which he could counter. And he could say, okay, this is how they're going to counter us, and this is the counter to that. Being one step ahead, that chess match. So I think, that's the kind of stuff that Cliff thinks about as he's falling asleep at night and wakes him up in the morning. So I know it's going to get done. I can't wait to see it. Number 2, number 0 in your programs, number 1 in your hearts. Briefly, the shortest tenure to wear number 0 ever as a Washington Commander, Pop's boy, Marcus Mariota, staying as backup quarterback. Pop, put the hand up. Give me a little hand up on Marcus Mariota. There you go. Thank you. I was on the Marcus Mariota train from the beginning here, but keeping him around just as a locker room presence, I hope we never see him play. He's probably going to play a lot in the preseason, but I hope we never see him play during the regular season until the fourth quarter.
I don't think you'll see much of him or Jayden, to be honest.
You think they're just going to be ripping Sammy Hartman all preseason? Or
they'll be playing the young guys, yeah.
Yeah.
Josh Johnson.
Driscoll's still there? Josh Johnson, that's right. I forgot Johnson's in the building.
Speaking of young guys.
That's not a young guy. But yeah, it'll be they're just keeping all the backups around again. It just speaks to that continuity, his leadership. You remember that play in Atlanta where he kind of picked Jayden up off the ground during the timeout and he said, "Get your wind, go win the football game." And then that's exactly what
Well,
he
I
did.
think I
That's
think
what he
I
does.
think I think number two links to number one because I think he's like a coach on the field, right? It's that
Exactly.
continuity of not only the coaching staff but your backup, your vet, your mentor. They've tried to keep everything in place, for Jayden, which just makes so much sense, and it speaks to a well-run organization.
Yep. I'm a
Yeah,
big
and guys want to be here. That's the other thing. Like Marcus wants to be here. You think about it; he couldn't be further away from home. He's, not at all an East Coast guy, but
no.
he wants to be here because of the type of, he could have went to a situation where he would have gotten if not being the starter, at least had a better chance of maybe playing or stepping in. Um, but he also knows that this sets up well from him that if God forbid he does have to play, he could be successful here.
Yeah, yeah, he could be successful here. It's his skill set fits the system that we have, and it could be a situation where you're gonna have a pretty darn good supporting cast to get to our next point. And so if he does have to play for a couple of games, he might be able to kind of, no disrespect to Marcus, but he might be able to kind of overperform his actual ability because of the skill set and the system around him. And maybe secure himself a little bit more money somewhere else next year should he want to move on. That gets us to number three, which is our offensive line upgrades. This for me is huge. And this is where, like, you want to talk about if there's going to be some regression from you can't win every game in the last 2 minutes, which, by the way, we didn't. But that shows me how little of our ball you guys watch. But we didn't win every game in the last 2 minutes. We
We blow
lost a
teams out
few
of the building early in the
we
season.
blew a lot of teams out of the building, and we also lost a few late game scenarios in Pittsburgh and Dallas back to back when Jayden had half of a rib cage. Um, but we upgraded on the offensive line so significantly that I think at minimum those two things cancel out. At minimum, when you talk about you've got Laramie Tunsil, Josh Connerly Jr. at tackle, you're gonna have Tyler Biadasz, Sam Cosmi, Brandon Coleman, Andrew Wiley, Nick Allegretti, the best five or the best three of those five playing on the interior. Obviously, Cosme coming back from injury. But you're not talking about like I saw an Eagles fan post the play that we run that I talked about earlier, and they said, "Oh, like you mean this play that we blew up for fourth down?" And it's like Trent Scott's on the field. God bless him. Love Trent Scott. Did a great job with what he has available to offer. Trent Scott's on the field. That's not happening next year.
Yeah,
So we're in a completely different situation offensive line wise.
you got potential here for having, you know, a top five on offensive line. Obviously, Josh Connerly is a rook, so Brandon Coleman's going to have to switch positions. So there's some question marks there. We know
Yeah.
Laramie Tunsil's a top three left tackle, so that's huge. Biadasz is one of the best centers in the leagues, and Cosby could be a great guard when healthy. So yeah, just great. And I think when you talk about why we should be optimistic that Jayden will have an even better season in 2025 and 2024, investing in that offensive line. Imagine him with an extra, half second to throw,
Yeah.
right? He had to stand on his head. The offensive line, I would say, outperformed what we thought they were going to be, but a lot of that had to do with Jayden
Yeah.
standing on his head, escaping. I mean, it was never forgetting the Tampa game, right, where he made that one play to get the first down and then eventually set up the field goal, and the defensive lineman just like holding his head because he couldn't catch him, you
Yeah.
know. And you all of a sudden now you add even more to the margins there with an extra time to make those decisions and maybe dial from the pocket even more. Again, being that much more comfortable with the offense, it's big, and there's no reason to think that's not going to have a real positive impact on
Yeah.
Jaden's performance and the
I
team.
fu- I fully agree. And not only just, Jayden, but Brian Robinson Jr.
100%.
Bill, Lil Bill, JCM. He likes to go by Bill apparently. If he gets some time, Austin Eckler, Deebo Samuel, which we'll talk about in our next segment here. But yeah, the run blocking too is going to improve drastically, I think, with this front and with Coleman, with the way Cliff likes to scheme up his runs, that he likes to pull a lot, and Coleman is so athletic. And he's just going to be a demon on the inside. I think he's going to be a great player on the inside. He's scouted significantly better on the inside than the outside. And when you look at the athletic ability, what he was able to do at tackle for, 19 games we played last season, or 18 games, he was, 17 and then two in the playoffs, so 19, yeah. If you look at the football player athletic ability when he's playing, probably out of position playing tackle, I think he's gonna transcend at that guard position this year. And I think once Cosme comes back and is healthy for the playoffs, I agree. You're talking about probably a top 5 unit in the league, barring any injury. Obviously, Connerly Jr. is a bit of a question mark, but if he becomes that much of an issue, you kick Coleman out to tackle, and you swing Allegretti or Wiley back into to guard once Cosme's back out and healthy. So the optionality you have here, this is just it's a masterfully constructed offensive line, in my opinion, and Adam Peters deserves all the credit in the world and then some on that.
How many games was that, Dominic?
19 last year we played. No, 20.
How many playoff games did we play?
20. We played 3.
I thought you were going to have to take your shoes off and start seeing you do math
20,
like that.
20 would have taken every. And you know what's sick is I could probably name the games in order, but I can't tell you how many there were. That's what's sick. It's just a real sick puppy here. A lot of issues. Getting into number 4 here, we have added some weapons as well to kind of stack that strength. So we improved the offensive line, and now we've added skill positions as well. We did lose De'Ami Brown, but in return, obviously, Noah Brown comes back, Terry comes back, Zach Ertz comes back. They were all legitimate contributors. Noah Brown's a guy that probably would have finished last season with 800 yards if he didn't get hurt. I don't think he'll have that many yards this year because we've added Deebo Samuel and Jalen Lane. Deebo Samuel, obviously, we added in the 5th round. Let's say we traded a 5th rounder for him, so we added him in the 5th round. And Jalen Lane, we added in the 4th round to add on top. So you've got Lane, who can stretch the field, 4.3 speed. You've got Terry, who's the best deep ball receiver in the NFL per the numbers, which surprised me. I'll be honest. I thought Terry's a great player. I never thought of him as such an elite vertical threat because he's so good at everything, but apparently he is. And Deebo Samuel, now you add as well from the 49ers, and you've got you almost need 2 footballs.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, right? You think about a situation where, if Austin Eckler can stay healthy, he proved to be a pretty good weapon. And, if you got him on one side, maybe Deebo on the other, who are you going to cover, right? It's just one of those things where they're starting to create matchup problems for teams. And yeah, I mean, you're right. Noah Brown, he's a solid vet. Having him as your 3rd or 4th option, is where you want to be rather than him being wide receiver 2. So that shows alone that you've upgraded. And yeah, you got year 2 guys. I mean, how big a step up is a Ben Sinnott going to make, right? Luke McCaffrey, I don't know, with the Jalen, Lane being part of the mix now, he's going to have to really step up and come in to earn a spot. But that's the other thing is like we talked about, that continuity with Terry in year 2. I think Zach Ertz just proved to be, a great weapon and somebody that obviously, again, bringing back Zach Ertz, so smart. Has he lost a step? Of course he has. But how many times was he just sitting wide open in the middle of the field?
His routes are nasty.
His routes are nasty. He knows how to find the soft spots. And again, it just speaks to, if you got to worry about, covering Deebo, covering Terry, protecting against, these other guys, he finds those spots. He's open. He's like that safety blanket for Jayden. And they obviously have a great connection. So, And there's something special about the connection between these guys. If you just hear Zach Ertz talk about Terry McLaurin and talk about Jayden, he just glowingly talks about his teammates. And this is a guy that's been around. This guy has won a Super Bowl with the Eagles, seen a lot of football, played at an elite level for a long time. It's just there's a special connection there with I think this group.
I'm going to say the quiet part out loud about Zach Ertz. Zach Ertz came here last year. 1 year, go work with your old coach, end of your career, get a couple million, and let's call it a day. And frankly, probably weren't a lot of other teams super interested in Zach Ertz at that point in his career. He bounced around the league a bunch prior. He played for like 2 or 3 different teams in the season prior to coming here. By the end of the year, you just look at the guy, you can look at his age, whatever. Is Zach Ertz a good football player? The answer is yes. Currently, today, is the guy that played last season tight end for the Washington Commanders a good football player? Yes. Very good football player. Played really well. And he said by the end of the year, he rediscovered his love for football. And you saw that backed up. I think he's such a genuinely good dude. And you see it backed up by the fact that he didn't even go to free agency. He might have been able to get a couple more dollars somewhere else. Didn't even bother. Just said, I want to stay here. This is making me love football again. I feel young. He said in interviews he wished he started his career in this situation. He wished he was 25 right now in Washington with this team and this staff. I mean, I've never heard any player say that about my team in the last however many years. So, Zach Ertz, you're good. You're good with me here. Him and Bobby Wagner, I'm willing to be a year late on. Keep bringing them back as long as they're producing. I'm happy
and
to
not
have
to
them
get
back.
a full breakdown on them, but I mean, even bringing back a John Bates, right? One of the best blocking tight ends
Stud.
in the league,
Yeah.
and can catch a ball here and there. It was big. So yeah, I think it's great. I think this next one is pretty fun.
Can catch a ball here and there, Dad. John Bates has an elite catch radius. Did you not hear Ron Rivera on that? Come on.
Maybe he does.
I don't know. It's hard to tell with his 8 targets a year. But number 5, the most exciting one here for Pop. Jayden looks jacked. Jayden has been hitting the weight room, man. I'm fired up about that.
Yeah, I don't know whether we're seeing some doctored pictures out there or what, but he definitely looks to have a lot more definition in his arms. He's filling out like we thought he would. Add a little fun one in there, maybe,
Yeah.
But I think it shows that, to me, if anything, it just shows that this guy's working, man. He knows what he needs to do. He knows he got nicked last season. He wants to get stronger and be able to take some punishment. He's all about it. He's all about football.
Yeah. That guy is just, what a blessing for him to come to our franchise, man. There's no two ways around it. And I'm fired up. So those are 5 reasons why he's going to have an even better season in 2025 than 2024. In conclusion, if you are on the internet saying you expect a big step forward from Bo Nix, you are a hypocrite if you don't expect this. And I expect a big step forward from Bo Nix. I think Bo Nix is a good football player. I think he's in a great situation there. I think Sean Payton's a good coach. Been known to hate on Denver a little bit. I actually like them. I think they're going to be pretty good next year. But if you're expecting that from Bo Nix, you should be expecting the same and then adjust for the talent gap, which there is quite a talent gap. Adjust for the talent gap for Jayden Daniels, in my opinion. I don't see any reason why you could think one's going to take a step forward and not the other. But that's your prerogative. If that's how you want to spend your time deluding yourself, that is your business, viewers.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think NFL fans just need to be better, man. You want to tear them down, you can. You're not watching the tape. Look, I'll give you a great example, Jalen Hurts. You and I have always been big Jalen Hurts supporters. Do we want to be? We always say it kills us. This guy's a great player, and it kills us. We hate
great guy too. Yeah,
but we recognize that he could play. He's a baller, right? There's nothing wrong with recognizing that your opponent is a baller, and I think some fans need to be better with regards to that than trying to tear people down. So, but that's okay.
Hey, look. Lot to tear down about the 2024 Commanders. You can talk about that defense. You can talk about the offensive line. Lot to tear down. Jayden Daniels ain't part of it. But moving on real quick, just to wrap this thing up here, the Tush push survives. Whatever. It's Eagles owner Jeffrey Lurie gave a 1 hour speech at the owners' meeting.
Can you
Dealing with,
imagine sitting through this guy talking for 1 hour about the tush push?
I tell
How
you
did they
what,
let that happen?
I would have voted against Buddy just for that.
I
I
mean,
got
and he's selling. We can't even repeat it. We're a family program, giving stupid, inappropriate analogies in front of like mixed audiences. Like, come on, dude, get the f off the stage. You could make that point in less than 5 minutes if you want to make that point. Stop crying. Get off the stage. You end up winning the vote anyway. That's so ridiculous.
it's congratulations. You got one more season out of it. I think it'll be
I
gone
could
next
care
year.
less. I could
I
care
could
less about that.
I could care less too. There's a reason Eagles fans are
Please,
so.
please don't take my favorite play away.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, come on.
There's a reason you're so scared about it. There's a reason. You know how much that play has helped your success in the last few years. Great football team last year. Would have won the Super Bowl without it, but you know how much that play's helped. So we'll see it go away next year. Would be my guess. I'm sure it'll go away soon. I maintain it's a player safety issue. It's also not a football play, and I think you've got to start. You've got guys lining up in the neutral zone, which is just straight up illegal, and then you've got guys pushing each other from behind, which is now legal but was not legal up until
Well,
2005. And I don't think my thing is like, what's it going to take? Is it going to take Frankie Louvu jumping over the offensive line and hitting Jalen Hurts in the helmet and concussing him? Is it going to take that? I don't want that to happen. I'm for player safety, but the defense is going to have to start doing stuff to try to stop it. We saw that in the NFC Championship game. I'm of the opinion at this point, Louvu should have went over that line one more time, had him get the automatic touchdown, and then that would have been banned like that.
so the way you stop
Um,
it, and I told you this before, and I never want to see Jayden Daniels anywhere near this play.
he
But
doesn't need to because he's an athlete.
every team in the league should start running this play. If they could get their backup quarterback to do it, they can get a tight end and maybe play a little quarterback. That's a
Yeah,
big guy to do it. Every freaking team should start running
right
this play.
tackle.
Because I guarantee you, if every team did it and it became this automatic thing and this scrum that looks more like a rugby play than a football play, it'd be gone in a minute. So to me, I hope the Commanders put in a package. I hope the Giants put in a package. I hope the Cowboys put in a package. I hope the whole freaking league runs the hell out of that play. And then it'll
Yeah.
be taken away.
And it kind of cracks me up with the Eagles because it's like, bro, give the ball to Saquon Barkley. Like, I'm kind of grateful, to be honest with you, that they run the push and the push gets a yard, but Saquon could bust one for 30 at any point. But
It's fine.
whatever.
It'll feel even sweeter when we beat them with it.
Exactly.
That's
Which
how I feel about it.
we've done. But it's cool. I'm not too worried about it. There will be enough points of regression on that Philly team. We don't need to sweat the tush push as much. But I say we wrap this thing up, Pop. What do you say?
Wrap it.
Yeah, it's been a good time. Without further ado, I've been Dom.
This is Pop. That was a lot of fun.
Thank you all for another great week, and hail to the Commanders.
Hell.